Can't hear me. I'm going to kind of give the past, present, and future of Beer Nuts, but looking around the room, I know a lot of you. Please raise your hand, interrupt, and let me know what you're thinking. So I don't want to be repetitive or redundant. First of all, is anybody here, no offense, over 70 years old or older? Would you? Okay. So you might know more. If you are, you might know more about Beer Nuts than I do at the time. So I'm 40. This is our 69th year in business. So I just want to make sure I've given some talks where I was educated about the business, and I appreciate it. It's good. And you know, some of the history is a little bit up to you know, the determination of whoever's presenting it. So Beer Nuts, looking at the past. In 1937, I have a great uncle named Arlo who worked at a store on Main Street, downtown Bloomington. It's called the Carmel Crisp Shop. He worked there in high school. He graduated. And he said, you know, I want to own this, and the owner said, I want to sell it to you. So with the help of his father, he bought it. This shop was known for a few things: caramel apples, candy, an orange drink, and what were called Redskin peanuts. What we know today as our original peanuts. So Arlo bought the shop with the help of my great grandfather and ran it accordingly as it had been run. He got married and was on his way to downtown Chicago on his honeymoon, and he was hit in a car accident and perished. And so immediately my grandfather, who was at USC at the time playing basketball, came home to help his parents sort of get things assembled and start running. Continue running the Carmel Crisp Shop. So the late 30s, early 40s, world's changing quite a bit. So they sort of evolved the operation from this sort of store to more of a restaurant. They were located very closely to the Irving Theater, which is now the parking lot outside of the State Farm building, former State Farm building, the Second Presbyterian Church. And they were on the location where the former State Farm building is. And so they were servicing people going to see movies. So they would pump out the smell of the fresh Redskin, Shirk's famous nuts or Redskin peanuts, and create a lot of traffic that way. As they became more of a restaurant, they had a potato chip distributor named Eldridge Brewster. I think it was Blue Star Chips was the company he distributed for, and he had a couple trucks and a route, and he came in and he said, you know, Russell, I can sell these. And my grandfather wasn't too interested in taking much risk, and so it took a couple of years of talking to him to finally say, okay, and in some evolution in packaging technology for him to say, okay, let's give it a try. And so Brewster took Shirk's glazed nuts and distributed them to everywhere on his route, which included a lot of pubs and taverns. After about a year, sales continued to pick up. They were making this product out of the basement on Main Street. It was kind of gross from what I'm told. And he said, you know, Russell, Brewster said, you know, Russell, I think we can do better with this. And so they said, yeah, these taste really good with you know, beer and different beverages. And so they said, we're going to call it Bever Nuts, or we're going to call it Beer Nuts. And thank God they called it Beer Nuts. Trademark it. Because that's when Beer Nuts really started in 1953. So we're off and running in 1953 with distribution that was very local, and then it was maybe an hour away, and then these circles, they just kept drawing circles further and further away from Bloomington Normal. And Bruce would do the distribution and sales and marketing. Shirks would do manufacturing, packaging. And so that's sort of how things went. And as Brewster continued to grow the distribution, we moved from a gross basement to what I believe was Capit Ice building that recently fell down a couple of years ago, over near the Center Street Bridge, which lasted for 6 months before it was too small. We ended up over on Prairie Street, across from Second Presbyterian Church, where there was, I've been told, 22 expansions over the years, until 1974, when we moved into our current location at Robinson and Washington Street. So a lot of growth there. But from that beginning, you know, Shirk's doing the manufacturing, Brewster doing the distribution. So as we're competing on the shelf, one product is good. We say 95% of the bars in America My grandfather's brother, that's my Uncle Ed, was out on the West Coast. Story goes that he, on his first day at Illinois Wesleyan, instead of taking his tuition to pay for school, he took it to a poker game, lost it all, got in the train, went west, and never came back. And so, but he did a very good job staying on our West Coast distribution years later. But and that's ultimately what attracted my grandfather out there for basketball and stuff. So we had great distribution out there as well, in addition to Brewster. And so as we grew through the 70s, we realized, okay, we're not just bars, we're in grocery stores as well, and we need a little more brand blocking. We need a bigger presence on the shelf. So we had the cashews in the early 70s. Figured out that our process was good with cashews. If you've ever had our cashews, I think we're going to be the world's best cashews. I'm biased, but I think they're pretty good. After that, we added the almonds in the late 70s. The growth just continued until about 1980. There was a massive drought in Georgia, and we couldn't get peanuts. We filled 25% of our orders that year, and so we lost. The big guys were dominating, so we lost out to the big guys. Planters really took over a lot, and so that was sort of our high water mark around that time. But we came out strong and kept growing after that. So going into the 80s, recovery, thing called Eagle Snacks. If you remember, Anheuser-Busch started in the snack business, started pushing products through that route. Very competitive products when you think of honey roasted peanuts. We're known for our sweet and salty, very similar flavor profile. And so that was our challenge through the 80s. I think early 90s is when I really stopped funding it and killed it. Into the 90s, for my own perspective, say we sat on our hands from the 90s through the 2000s with very little innovation and use of our brand. But our brand is what sustained us pretty well through that period. Getting into the mid 2000s, we created this thing called Bar Mix. Seems the mistake we made then is we didn't trademark that, but seemed to be a pretty good product, sold okay, and then in the early 2010s, it really took off. It was all of a sudden it became our number one product, and has been ever since about, I think, 2014, outselling our original peanut at this point. So, but at that point, we've been in our facility for a number of years. We're evolving into modern food safety requirements and standards in a plant we built in the 70s, and at that point also exploring e-commerce and Amazon at that point. So as we come to today, my involvement got started in 2008. I used to sell enclosed malls and shopping centers, weirdly, and as the market crashed 2008, I got a friendly request from my dad, hey, why don't you come back home and take a look at some of this stuff. And so it's been fun seeing us rise and really grow out of from 2008. We were sort of flat for a few years, and then some of our changes in the last couple of years really put the pedal to the metal, and we've been growing ever since. So it's a fun time at Beer Nuts. But that's sort of the short version of it from the past to today. Looking ahead, we have a significant amount of opportunity. It's fun to get outside of town and hear people bring up the stories similar to Blake, and I hear many of them of Beer Nuts. I know Beer Nuts since I used to have them at the bar with my grandpa when I was a kid, or I used to eat them at my uncles in California. All these stories. There's a gap we have in our customer base, and I say it's 50 and under. And the exciting part about it is the name itself, the trademark name itself, really is a hook. People will try our product, they've never heard of it, but they think they know it. And so we have the opportunity to continue to create new products that appeal to the customer base of today, or the young customer of today, to say, hey, look, here's something else, here's something different. And it's a fun challenge, and as we dabble in it and play with it a little bit, we're seeing that we have the opportunity to really take advantage of it. So that's really what we're looking at going forward. So we're also going through a generational transition in ownership, and I think that'll unlock a lot of the opportunity as well. And it's a pretty exciting time at Beer Nuts as well. So that's a little bit of the history and a little bit going forward. What's more fun as I look around is Q&A. And so who can I call out, or who online is pumping in a question that I can answer? Yes.
Not a question, but I am a fan. And I do have to say, so you know what for your speeches, whenever you travel international, they're the best gifts for everyone. I have taken them to China, Japan, Guatemala, you know, Uruguay. They've been all over the world. Whenever I go, Beer Nuts goes. The other thing is, I can't wait. Please open up the store.
I will, I've got two answers to that. First one, thank you. I've always said our best salespeople are people who have once lived in Bloomington Normal and have used us sort of as a calling card is the analogy. I need a better analogy than that, but as a reference point back to Bloomington Normal. So thank you. Do plenty of corporate gifting, and it's just a very helpful for our brand and our operation. As far as the company store goes, there's it's driven by me, but an extreme focus on efficiency and our most efficient allocation of capital, and that was not it. And especially in the labor shortage and in a growing business where we needed space for just for fulfillment for our direct-to-consumer business. That's the feedback I've gotten a lot. Open the store. The store will not be opening. I'm sorry.
It doesn't need to be in the mall. It can be at the factory.
The factory store will not be opening.
Then I have one other request.
But I will tell you, beernuts.com, we're doing a thorough scrubbing of it right now to make it an easier experience than before. But yes.
Then I have one other request. With the local consumers, I don't know if you remember, but in the late 90s, maybe early 2000, you could go into the store at the holiday and you could get like the 3-tier snowman with all kinds of nuts in, or you could get the penguin, or you could even get, what is that, a case where they put bullets in? Yes,
Oh, yeah,
with
yeah.
Bill, yes.
We still have that.
Good. But the other things, and I have to still keep filling up mine every year, so I need some new things.
You're not gonna like my answer.
I still have mine.
Well, good, and thank you. And as we've gone through different phases in that part of our business, those have been fun. But the ammo can, I think, will live on. I don't think the snowman will come back. So, but it's just the reality of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. So what nuts do you do locally versus what comes from Michigan?
Sure. Yeah. So we still do use a co-packer in Michigan. We recently bought some equipment and brought in a lot of that. So the only product that comes out of Michigan now is anything in a plastic jar, which we're having a heck of a time getting right now. So our lead time's 12 weeks.
So all the foil packs are all made here. locally?
Everything's here. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. That's been a trend that happened in August. So that's a recent transition. Really good question. So for a decade, well, I'll say 5 years, at least 60% of our product was packed in Grand Rapids. Not the case anymore. And it's fun to, as yesterday, being in our packaging department, just watching the
Awesome.
new machine click and
I've seen
everybody pump stuff out. So yeah, I was excited to bring it back, and it was good for the business too.
Yeah, I like the crazy redhead tour, because I've been to the facility.
Yeah, good. Thank you. Yeah, good.
So how many employees do you guys have here locally?
Today we're at 90. We've seen quite a bit of variation from, I used to say 50, but we've gone from 60 to 90 throughout the pandemic, somewhere in there, depending on demand and availability of supplies. We've been hit by the supply chain issues like everybody else, and labor challenges too. I think we're through that, made some culture changes that have really helped us keep people. Yeah, we're about 90 today, so as of yesterday, actually. So, but yeah, we are sort of kind of point to celebrate. I just heard a lot of complaining around town, which I thought I understood, but a little bit inappropriate, like, oh, Rivian's taking our people. No, there's this labor issue all over the country, but we hired our first person from Rivian starting this.
Yeah.
So. And they're awesome. And they came from out of town, from states away, and just wanted something different. We're happy to offer it to them. Yeah, done.
Aces over eights, or what was Uncle Ed's hand? Do we know?
I never met Uncle Ed, so I don't know, but Uncle Ed did okay. He ended up marrying a Wilhelm from Germany who owned like Wilshire Boulevard before it was Wilshire Boulevard, so he was just fine. So, yeah.
Do you make the nuts here?
So yeah, good question. So our supply chain, the nuts, our peanuts are coming from Georgia. So we're sort of celebrating the win last night. But they're sourced from Texas to Virginia through buying points that end up at a sheller in Georgia or Alabama. Actually, we're pulling more from Alabama right now, ironically. But our almonds are coming from California. Our cashews were very specific. They come from Vietnam. Macadamias from Malawi, South Africa, Australia, just depending on the crop. Sometimes Hawaii, and pecans from Georgia as well. So, but yeah, we're pulling from all over. When it comes to packaging materials, we used to be almost 100% coming through Wisconsin. Now it's Vietnam, it's Colombia. It just depends on the price and the provider. But the global market's been very good to us as far as packaging costs, especially in a rising market. So, yep.
You talked about how your bar mix has now become kind of your leader. How'd you make the decision of what went into it and where did those kind of come from?
That's a good question. So I can't specifically answer that because I wasn't around during the creation process, but I can tell you, here's what I can tell you. That product we didn't create. GFS, Gordon Food Service, they have the marketplace stores, their buyer for that, those stores said, I've got this product. You should put your peanut in it and we could sell it. And that's really how it happened. And from that, we've evolved into other versions, but R&D is not a sophisticated experience at Beer Nuts. We created a model of it. It's very data driven and we're pulling from national sources, from international sources, from Mintel and some others that really guide us on what are the trends in flavor. And then we respond accordingly with, okay, how can we evolve the bar mix or make a new take on this or change how we started seasoning our nuts alone, which is something we hadn't done in the past. And so, but what should that seasoning be? What's the market gonna be? That's what we're trying to do. It's in our, being a small company, we should be, my goal for our team is 28 days from idea to package. We can do that. Big guys can. So we need to utilize that opportunity more.
So just a quick follow-up. What has been one flavor profile you were surprised took off and one was that you thought, hey, this will be great and no one really liked as much as you thought?
Well, that's a personal problem I have. I think they're all gonna be awesome. And so like coming out of the gate, I'm 100%, like this is gonna crush it. And like the hot bar mix didn't. We recently changed it to a habanero bar mix, so it's sort of been retired. Our chocolate covered original peanut, coming out of the gates, we thought it was gonna crush it and was a favorite of mine. The market of peanut price went from 50 cents to $1.25. And so add the chocolate on that and we packaged it poorly. Didn't work. People love the product. If you haven't had it, you got to try it. That was 2012, so it's been a couple of years. And the chocolate covered original peanut. So it's our original peanut with just enough chocolate that you can taste the chocolate and still taste the peanut instead of the chocolate bomb in your mouth with nothing else. So, but yeah, it's incredible. Costco is actually looking to pick it up, so maybe everybody will know about it soon. I hope, but get to it quick, I guess. So, yeah.
What's are there shipping issues with that chocolate?
Not yet, and we're hopeful with the new chocolate plant in town, we might have a new way to get some. So
I actually do some repping for Jelly Belly. They
Okay.
have some chocolate products that they actually have to ship with dry ice.
So we ship.
Summertime,
We ship, oh yeah, so finished product, yeah, seasonally we ship it. We don't ship it in the summer because you're paying for reefer trucks and yeah,
Right.
it doesn't make sense. And we haven't explored the dry ice option.
it works.
Okay, that's good to know. Because we did make
I've
a
been on the
mistake.
receiving end of it, so I know it works.
We sent some to my dad, he's out in the desert of California through the summer. And he was messing with us and he got a blob of chocolate.
No.
So they had a problem, he was right. Any others? Yeah, like,
How important is the bar business still?
not that important from a top line standpoint, but it's an opportunity again. And I think we've been slow, really slow, addressing it from the craft beer standpoint. A lot of craft beer breweries don't want to have a restaurant, and that's a home run for us. We should be in all of them. And so we've dabbled at it, but we haven't made a concerted effort. Part of it's because we've been growing in other areas, but yeah, it's because it's a smaller set, but it's that consumer experience that drives brand loyalty. So that's where we want to be. So we say we want to feed the fun. That's our internal motto. And I can't think of a better way than, with beer, it's a product. Yep.
If you were the coach for this room, bunch of business leaders, what advice would you have for a business leader?
Stay in Illinois. Just kidding. Actually, that may not be my advice, but focus on your people. It took me a long time to figure that out. It's all about people. I think, the way I was raised, it was a mentality that you can figure it out and, keep everything keep your cards close. And as a result, I think of family business. I think my dad did the opposite of my grandpa, and I've done the opposite of my dad. I've learned that the more you can get out, the more you can build a better team, a diverse team that can really help you accelerate growth and problem solving of your challenge, your business. It's just getting the right people in the right seat. And not waiting when you don't have the right person either, which is really hard to do, but it's worked pretty well. So yeah, that's my advice. People first, people what.
Thanks, Andy.
Thank you.